you'll have to address
This,
how we're
mm,
organized and the way we do things. We'll have to put the systems in place, in order to just take the first step of how are you going to recruit a salesperson that comes over and finds out that everything is tracked on a spreadsheet.
makes sense. So you said you implemented what source? Some marketing resource?
Yeah, there was no marketing person at the company. So
Okay.
I pushed the owner to hire a full-time marketing person,
Okay.
and we
And
developed. The website we had was 10 years old. We were not selling in a modern environment.
so the company basically was not updated to the current market trends and
That's right.
how. Got it. What is you said you utilized Microsoft CRM. What is that exactly?
Actually, this is incorrect. So this should be Salesforce, not Microsoft CRM.
Because I did Google Microsoft CRM. I couldn't find anything. So
Well, there is
so
there
this
is
is you
a
say.
there is Microsoft CRM, but that was actually used at the other NIC, and I think I just made a mistake here.
Mhm.
So this should, where it says utilize Microsoft CRM, that should say utilize Salesforce.com.
Salesforce.com. Okay, got it. Um, what exactly is the PPDIOO based project, and how did you implement this?
Yeah, so this PPDIOO is an acronym. I don't remember what all the words stand for today, but it is a Cisco
Mm-hmm.
acronym on how you should
Okay.
deploy a project. So I think it's like plan, prepare, design, implement, operate, and optimize. I did remember it. And so it's a methodology on how you approach a technology project. So let's say I sell a project to you. I turn it over to
Mm-hmm.
my project management team and my deployment engineers. Well, when I got to this company, there was no methodology for them to do that job. They just relied upon a couple of guys talking and then they would go and do stuff. And I basically said, guys, we can't do things in this. Everything's different every time. We have no standard approach on how we do this. Cisco has already developed this standardized approach on how you implement a project, this PPDIOO, it's heavily documented and well adopted by Cisco partners. And
Mm-hmm.
so I
And you
brought that,
implemented this.
yes, I brought this methodology
Mm.
over to the company. We adapted it to our company at NIC Partners, and then we began implementing projects using that project methodology instead of just kind of winging it. So
Okay, got it.
it's a project deployment methodology.
And you implemented PMI based project management solutions. What is that exactly?
So PMI is the Project Management Institute, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the national standard for project managers. The PMI offers a certification for project managers called a PMP, a project management professional, and they basically are the gold standard on how projects should be managed. So we began hiring PMP certified project managers, and
Okay.
those project managers started using PMI based tools such as job costing tools, budget and estimating tools,
Mm-hmm.
developing risk profiles, etc.
So
Which is
streamline
today's
project
that's the
management.
standard for every company I've ever worked at.
Got it. Got it. Uh, did you face any sort of issues while managing project life cycles other than
Yeah,
what
I
we've
mean,
already discussed?
yeah, it's pretty much what we discussed, but you can't, some people call themselves project managers just because through somebody saying, "Hey, will you go help work on that project?" Eventually, they start calling themselves a project manager. But a project manager actually is a standardized role, not just
Mm-hmm.
in technology, but in building bridges and skyscrapers. Uh, these project managers that are certified through PMI have a very standards-based approach to assure that mistakes don't get made and safety is evaluated and that's absolutely critical in any type of project implementation. So
Got
you
it.
take a multi-million dollar technology project is has just as much risk as any other type of project, and it has to be evaluated, and documentation has to be done, and communication with stakeholders needs to happen. None of that was happening.
Okay.
So of course there were problems, right? Customers would be unhappy because no one bothered to check this, or they would think they had one expectation of the project deliverables. We had a different one because they were never agreed upon or documented. I mean, all of the things that are there that need to be in place are already part of that management methodology. They had just never adopted it.
Correct. And then you obviously impacted customer satisfaction by introducing this methodology because
You
customer
bet.
coordination improved and the deliverables were met on time. Got it.
Exactly. Exactly.
And h- on what level did you interact with stakeholders and customers?
Uh, very high level of interaction. Like I was telling you, it's a small team. There's one
Mhm.
sales leader and an owner, and so in any project, we're all talking to the customer because we're a stakeholder. We're all stakeholders. But other than the obvious, which is you try to get the salespeople out of the day to day of the project because they should be out working on closing new deals.
So you also developed the project strategy, planning, the timelines, correct?
Not no, not me. Uh, I mean, I basically what I did is I pointed out the fact that we did not have any of this. So when
Okay.
it came to that project side, there was a team that managed the operational side of the business. They took over implementing those methods.
Okay, so you identified needs and then uh, communicated those to the other departments.
Correct.
Got it. In what other ways would you say you improve sales and marketing functions? I think by introducing this methodology, hiring these skilled people, you already impacted sales and marketing, but can you think of any other ways?
No, because it was a very simple model.
Got it.
In this role, it's a small business um, that had a good reputation in the market. The owner was very involved. He just needed to. He wanted to grow to the next target for him was $50 million. He wanted to be a $50 million company. And in order to do that, when you go from a 20 or a $25 million company to a $50 million company, you have to invest in the infrastructure, the people, the processes, and the tools, or you'll never cross that threshold. And so he basically that's what he wanted to do. At the end of it, he really didn't do it, and he kind of pulled back on investing, and I think money got tight, and ultimately we didn't see eye to eye, and that's why I left. Um, but that's just something every company that wants to cross that next threshold of growth has to do, and he wanted me to do that, and we did it. But he couldn't make it all the way. But we don't need to put any of that in the resume.
Obviously. But you did lead, but you did lead the revenue from, you increased the revenue from 25 to 40, correct?
That's correct.
Got it. So, if you don't have anything else to add here, we can move on to the last one.
All right.
Great.
So this one
And
is,
general manager at.
yeah, so this one is
Mhm.
the Arizona side of the company.
Got it.
Now this company was very similar to NIC Partners. There was
Mhm.
there was two owners. There was the owner of the California one that we just talked about, and then there was another owner here in Arizona. And at different parts of time during these years of both of them, so if you really go to 2004 all the way to 2010, which is both of those jobs, there was a period in there where the two owners came together and merged. And then there was a period where they broke it apart. So uh, so that's why I kind of consider it one, because it was kind of this weird, you know, two different companies wanting to be together, and then they
Right.
were just, yeah, they couldn't see eye to eye, and so it was, so in many ways it was very similar, um, and they kind of, you know, they had very similar revenue streams, they had very similar structures. I think the one in Arizona, the one we're about to talk about, was more organized. The owner at this one
Mhm.
came from a general construction background, so he had a lot more experience in infrastructure. But in terms uh, of scale, they were very similar.
Okay. So in the Arizona one, what were the major issues that you discovered upon joining that you
Very
had to.
similar. Yeah,
Similar?
very
Okay.
similar to the other NIC partners. They had no sales manager,
Okay.
so again, the salespeople were reporting to the owner. They did
Again,
have
you
some,
created a structure here as well.
yes,
Please go on.
they
You were about to say something.
yeah they did have more tools and processes in place. They had more
Mm-hmm.
structure on the project management side. They did
Mm-hmm.
have a lot more experience with managing very large projects. Um, and
So,
they were very focused on education, just like the other company.
what were your major accomplishments, if you could think of a few that vary a bit from the one in uh, from the above company?
They're really the same. Uh, they there really wasn't a lot of accomplishments there per se, other than the standard accomplishments of running that office. So I have more responsibility at this job. That's why I kind of have that general manager, vice president. I mean, at this level of work on these two jobs, they were such small companies that
Mm-hmm.
the titles don't really matter. But
Mm-hmm.
I have more responsibility in the on the Arizona side, because I had more than just the salespeople that reported to me. I basically was running the office. So the operations team reported to me. I sat in all the operational meetings, and I basically was more of a general manager focus.
Got it. Got it. What kind of leadership strategies did you use here?
Well, you know, in these small companies like this, the leadership strategy is, uh, uh, you
Active
know, no, I
communication,
don't think it's
coordination.
active. I think it's more servant leadership. You know,
Okay.
basically, what can I do? Right? Is what are the things that I need to do to take obstacles out of your way? What
Mhm.
what challenges and issues between the departments can I help resolve?
And were there
So,
any challenges, interdepartmental challenges?
oh, of course, yeah. Between the sales department and the operations department, there's a constant battle there.
Regarding what exactly? What was the issue
Well,
there?
the projects would be costed and sold by the pre-sales teams,
Mm-hmm.
and then when the operations department got the job, they weren't happy with how it got costed, and so there was a constant battle between the two departments of trying to figure out why things were costed in a certain way, and then salespeople obviously were impacted negatively if the job didn't go well. So there was what it wound up being is a lot of wasted time spent, sales time spent trying to argue and defend why the job was sold a certain way, and so a lot of my job was mitigating those challenges.
So how did you mitigate them exactly?
Well, one of the things we did is we started taking the jobs and having them reviewed by the operations team before we sold them.
Got it.
So they had an opportunity to say, no, I don't like the way you did this. I don't like the way you did this. And then we had arguments before we sold the deal rather than arguments after we sold the deal.
So you
And then
implemented a review process.
yes, implemented a review process prior to the sale to
Mm-hmm.
mitigate post-sale issues regarding job
Got it.
costing.
Got it. And you led revenues of 30 million.
Right.
Got it. What was this an increase? Do you know how much of an increase this was from the initial revenue the company had?
I don't remember exactly what it was.
But is this the increase? Is 30 the increase, or is it just the revenue that you left at?
It's the revenue that I left at. I don't remember what it was. I'm sure there was an increase, but I don't remember what it was.
It's okay. So the last point is that this company was heavily partnered with Cisco, AMP, HP, IMB, I'm sorry,
IBM.
and IBM. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
kept. So, did you develop these partnerships?
Some of them were already developed when I got there, but some of them I heavily contributed to the relationship. I think the reason I have them in my resume is for name brand recognition, so that somebody reviewing the resume would know that these were the types of organizations that we partnered with. I mean, in all of these jobs, these technology integrator companies, we don't really make anything. We're reselling somebody else's product, and we're doing the design and the implementation and the support. So in this particular job, we did some unusual work, like we did communication tower builds. So the red line community. Well, like let's say that you're a school district and you have schools that are very far apart, and that was true in Arizona. So like I might have one school that's 30 or 40 miles away from the district office or another school. So one solution is to use service providers to provide connectivity, like AT&T or Verizon, and those connectivity lines are extremely expensive. So an alternative to paying for those data lines is you can use microwave technology, and as long as you have line of sight from one school to the other on a tower, you can build a communications tower, a steel communication tower, put a microwave antenna on it, and I can build another one at the other site. And as long as there's line of sight, 30 feet, 40 feet in the air, I can transmit very fast data connections from one to another, and I own that. So I don't have to pay anybody a recurring monthly fee for that communication. So one of the things we did at that company, which is a little bit unusual, is we we actually had a team that was certified in the construction of those towers. And so they were building and constructing these metal scaffolding towers that you've seen them on the side of the road, that had these big microwave radios, and we resold that.
Got it. Got it. Would you like to add anything else for this position?
I don't think so.
The rest of your jobs prior to 2004, I'm gonna add an additional experience because I think going back to 2004 is good enough,
Okay.
and most of your major accomplishments are going to go in additional experience.
I agree.
And that concludes our interview. We've covered everything.
Okay,
Do you
good.
have any questions for me?
No, I'm excited about what you guys are going to come up with, and I appreciate you taking the time to really understand all this. Were you able to understand some of the stuff that I was talking about that was a little technical?
I did. You explained it very well.
Thank you. All right, what are the next steps?
Thank you for that.
Sure.
I'll start constructing your resume, and I'll start constructing your other documents, and I'll be getting back to you with these documents within 7 working days. And
Okay.
then you would review them, and that's it. If you wanted any edits, I would be happy to do them. There's just
Okay, and you're going
one
to be
thing I
working.
need from you.
Okay.
If you could just go over the call prep I sent you, listing keywords,
Go over
and
the
mark
what that you
down any that you are the job listing keywords
Okay, I
in
see
the
now.
call. If you could just go over them when you have the chance and mark you are not familiar with. So that way I know which ones to exclude from your files.
Okay, I got
So
it.
if you could do that, and then
So you want me to mark the ones that are not applicable?
Yes, and then just email me the file back, and that way I'll know which ones to add and which ones to exclude.
Okay. You're also going to be working on my LinkedIn profile, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That sounds good. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for your time. It was great talking with you. If you have any concerns, please do reach out to me, and I'll get back to you with your documents. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.